All right, good afternoon. I'd like to call the PPRTA Board of Directors meeting to order. We do have a quorum, I believe, so we're good to go. First item on the agenda is the approval of the agenda, and I don't believe we have any changes, modifications to that. So I'd entertain a motion to approve.
Mayor Dixon, I'll move to approve.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Commissioner Williams, second.
Got a motion and a second. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we have an approved agenda. Item 3 is the resolution of appreciation for 2 outgoing board directors. And I know that Randy needs to leave here quickly, so we'll jump in and do his first. So this is a resolution by the Pikes Peak Rural Transportation Authority Board of Directors acknowledging appreciation to City of Colorado Springs Director Randy Helms. Whereas the City of Colorado Springs is a member government of the Pikes Peak Rural Transportation Authority, and whereas the City of Colorado Springs Director Randy Helms served as council member for the City of Colorado Springs from April 2021 until April 2025, including as City Council President from April 2023 to April 2025, and served on the Pikes Peak RTA board from June of 2021 until now, April of 2025. And whereas the City of Colorado Springs Director Randy Helms has served the citizens of the City of Colorado Springs and the Pikes Peak region with distinction. Now, therefore, be it resolved, Pikes Peak Rural Transportation Authority Board of Directors wishes to acknowledge their deepest gratitude to City of Colorado Springs Director Randy Helms for his commitment to regional transportation planning and projects, for his wise counsel, and for his dedication to the advancement of the transportation projects of the Pikes Peak Rural Transportation Authority. It's resolved, approved, and adopted by the Board of Directors of PPRTA today on April 9th, signed by myself and Rick Sonnenberg, the board secretary. So Randy, thank you for your service and dedication. You've been a true advocate for transportation and infrastructure across the region. You'll certainly be missed, and your leadership here will leave some big shoes to fill. So thank you.
Thank you, Brian. Thank you, Holly. And it has been an honor and a privilege to work for such a professional organization as the PPRTA. It's probably one of the, if not the most professional boards, committees, and commissions that I've served on over the last 4 years. It was an honor to be the chair and the vice chair of PPRTA, and the things that we do and that we accomplish. As some of our previous directors and council members once said, promises made, promises kept.
Yep.
And I know that PPRTA will continue doing that, even though myself and Yolanda are not going to be here. So again, thank you, each and every one of you. And I'm not running out on you. Carrie and I actually have to speak at the space symposium here in about less than an hour. And so you got to get up there and get through all the yuckity yuck to get in. So again, thank you.
I'll move to approve.
Yes, that's right. We do need a motion. So we've got a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
And a second. All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Very good. Now it's official. So we of course have the commemorative hard hat, right? With your name on the back. So, and I think, do you want to do a photo? Okay.
Thank you. You want to do it just right here?
Sure.
Let me put the hat on.
The hat on.
Well, come on. What did I say? Cheeseburger. Perfect.
Yep. We'll miss you.
Thank you, Holly.
Yep.
Yolanda? I am. Yeah, we got to, Carrie and I have to go. So thank you all. Bye.
Take care. And now, Yolanda, it's your turn. So I've got a resolution here by the PPRTA Board of Directors acknowledging appreciation to City of Colorado Springs Director Yolanda Avila. Whereas the City of Colorado Springs is a member government of the Pikes Peak Rural Transportation Authority, and whereas the City of Colorado Springs Director Yolanda Avila served as council member for the City of Colorado Springs from April of 2017 until April of 25, and served on the Pikes Peak RTA board from June of 17 until April of 2025. Whereas City of Colorado Springs Director Yolanda Avila has served the citizens of the City of Colorado Springs and the Pikes Peak region with distinction. Now therefore be it resolved, the Pikes Peak Rural Transportation Authority Board of Directors wishes to acknowledge their deepest gratitude to City of Colorado Springs Director Yolanda Avila for her commitment to regional transportation planning and projects, for her wise counsel, and for her dedication to the advancement of transportation projects of the Pikes Peak Rural Transportation Authority. It is resolved, approved, and adopted by the Board of Directors of the Pikes Peak Rural Transportation Authority this 9th day of April, 2025, right here in Colorado Springs, Colorado, signed by myself as the board chair and Rick Sonnenberg, our board secretary. Congratulations, Yolanda, and thank you for all your hard work and service to PPRTA and to this region.
Thank you. And just say a few words that, yeah, I've been here for 8 years. This is my very, very last meeting of my 8 years on council. And this has been such an important board to be on because of all the capital projects. But for me, it's been all about transit and making sure that we have that public transportation for everyone, not just people with disabilities, but all people. And so there goes my phone. It's been such a ride, but nothing happens in a vacuum, and we're not able to do the work that we do, or I feel like I haven't been able to do the work I do without the staff of PPRTA. And Rick Sonnenberg at one time was responsible for not only PPRTA, but PPACG, and he was handling both until we hired Andy Gunning. So I really wanted to take a picture with Rick and the people that supported me through this process in getting those documents readable for me so I could hear them. And that would be, well, Rick gave me a briefing every month on Fridays, and a lot of times he provided transportation back to City Hall for me. And also Dolly and Tom converted those, did those conversions for me. So I really want to acknowledge the entire staff of PPACG, but those who've really supported me. And it's been a pleasure to be with all the board members that I've served with for the last 8 years. And Puma's had a great time. They've always had his water bowl ready for him, and I'm sure you're going to miss hearing him lap up the water. But that's it. And as you could tell, I'm a little bit excited to be finished. Thank you.
Well, thank you. I'll entertain a motion to approve this resolution.
Mayor Dixon also move.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Well, again, thank you, Yolanda. Congratulations. Thanks for being such a great advocate for transportation and transit in this region. And we all wish you the very best in the next chapter of what you do.
Yeah.
And photo, you want to do it in front of the sign up here again?
And someone's gonna have to pick up the transit
Mantra.
mantra for the Southeast. Corey.
All right. Next item on the agenda is public comment for items that are not on the agenda. Do we have any citizens here in the audience that would like to speak to the board about an item not on the agenda? Do we know if there's anyone online that would like to speak? Okay. Seeing none, we will close the public comment period. Brings us then to approval of the minutes from the March 12th, 2025 meeting. Believe you all have a copy in your packets. Any comments, corrections, changes, questions? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
Move to approve.
And we had a second, I think, from, did I hear Mayor Osborne online?
Yes, sir.
Very good. We have a motion to approve in a second. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Very good. Next would be Citizen Advisory Committee Monthly Report, and Jim is traveling, so Larry, I think it's your turn. Oh, sure, absolutely. Thanks for the note on that. So we do have a certificate of appreciation for an outgoing CAC member, Mr. Alan Delwich. And I've got a certificate here for him, wishing to acknowledge our gratitude and thank him for his valuable service. He was a member of the CAC from January of 2023 until last month, March of 2025. And he also receives a commemorative hard hat with his name on the back of it. So we'll make sure that, I don't know, is he in the audience today? Okay, we'll make sure that he gets both the certificate and that hard hat. Now, Larry, I think you're up. Thank you.
All right, Larry Tobias, first vice chair of the PPRTA Citizens Advisory Committee. Jim, as indicated, is traveling, and so I will be giving the presentation and the report today. The CAC held their meeting on April the 2nd, 2025. The city of Colorado, and I'm going to skip a couple of these things that are non-major. City of Colorado Springs contracts. City of Colorado Springs presented 10 contracts to the CAC. They were all reviewed and they were all approved unanimously by the CAC. El Paso County contracts. El Paso County presented 6 contracts to the CAC. After discussion, they were approved unanimously. And so now, moving on to item number 5, Manitou Springs contracts. This is kind of a fairly detailed, but Workshop 40 contracts request. The CAC approved a positive recommendation for the 4,500 item and the 40,000 item, but not the other 2 items pending a presentation by the city of Manitou Springs next month. So the CAC requested some additional information, requested some redoing of the presentation, and bring it back to us next month for approval. They did not have a problem with doing that, so we did postpone those 2 items until next month. Item number B, approved a positive recommendation for the 2 contracts for the Lovers Lane retaining wall. Rick, do they have the pictures of the retaining wall in their package too? Yeah, if you want to see what their retaining wall looks like, it's in your packet. Basically, give it a few more weeks, the whole wall would be gone, the hill would be gone, the road will be gone. So after review and discussion of the item, the 2 contracts were approved. One to Roxall in the amount of $159,416.32, and Thorcon Short Creek and shoring in the amount of $350,000. These contracts being charged to the City of Colorado Springs PPRTA Capital Project. Manitou Street System Safety and Mobility Improvement Citywide. So these two contracts are capital. Any questions on Manitou before I move on?
Not seeing any.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Item number 6, City of Colorado Springs Transit Service Monthly Update. This is kind of an interesting item. We have 3 items right after it for approval by the CAC for grant recipients through PPRTA. So I was looking at the amount of time required for those 3 items and sort of gave Lan about 1 minute for her presentation, which she made a couple comments and was done, and we moved on to item number 7. Thank you for making that real short. City of Colorado Springs request for PPRTA to serve as grant recipients for Mountain Metro funding for the downtown shuttle. This was approved, positive recommendation by the board as presented to the CAC and forwarded on to you. Item number 8, City of Colorado Springs request for PPRTA to serve as grant recipient for Senate Bill 267, funding for the Downtown Transit Center. Again, after review, positive recommendation and approval by the CAC and forwarded on to the board. Item number 9, City of Colorado Springs request to serve as grant recipient for Mountain Metro funding for on-demand transit service. Again, after review and presentation, the CAC approved it unanimously. So all 3 of these items relative to Mountain Metro and also helping the transit in Colorado Springs were approved and sent on to the board for your approval. City of Colorado Springs monthly change order and property acquisition report. Information only, no questions. City of Colorado Springs Powers North reimbursement update, information only. Gave a overview of where we are on the amount that's been spent by the contractor. There will be some bills eventually showing up this year that the CAC and the board will approve, but those will be coming shortly. Staff field review report that was done by Rick, information only. Agenda topics for the next meeting, none. Communications, none. That is the end of my report. Do I have any questions or comments?
Any questions?
None being so, thank you very much.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Move to accept the report.
Okay. And is there a second?
I'll second John Graham.
Very good. We have a motion and a second to accept. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Very good. Item 7, financial reports. Lisa.
All right, Lisa Corey, Finance Manager for the PPRTA. The sales and use that I am reporting is for the month of February. We received 11,041,316, which came in above the, it's not, can you hear me now? Okay, for the month of February, we received 11,041,316, which was above our monthly budget by $386,286 or 3.6%. When we look at February of this year compared to February of last year, We did bring in less this year by 73,826 or negative 0.7%. Any questions? Did everybody receive a copy of the report?
Yep.
All right.
Any questions for Lisa? Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Item 8, the 2025 capital maintenance and public transportation contracts. First up, City of Colorado Springs.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is Gail Sturdivant, City Engineer and Deputy Public Works Director for City of Colorado Springs. My apologies for needing to be remote today. We have the 10 contracts, as Mr. Tobias mentioned. The first one is for the 8th Street Bridge Rehabilitation Project. This is where 8th Street crosses over Fountain Creek, and there's a map included in your project, in your packet. This is a bridge maintenance activities where we're going to be doing some rehab on the bridge and widening it so we can include an extra through lane to the north, along with combining the sidewalk where we're, as of today, right now, we have a separate bridge. We went through an RFP process. We received 3 responses. We interviewed the top 2 candidates on Friday. We're asking for a contractor approval of not to exceed of 3.3 million. These two folks that we interviewed, both were within 5% of the engineer's opinion of construction cost. We have made a selection of Kramer North America, and we are expecting the contract to come in less than that $3.3 million. But there's some things we're going to be finalizing through this negotiation as we write this contract. The city's second contract is for the Las Vegas Royer UTRR project. This is PPRTA 2 A-list project. You can see where it has 2 locations shown on the map included in your packet. This is to cover railroad expenses for both the Union Pacific and the BNSF railroads. This includes them coming and doing the track work, providing construction oversights, and licensing that we need available to be able to do this project. The total is $1,588,978. The city's third contract is for the Mark Shuffle Road project, and it's more specifically for the Dublin Boulevard portion. As we've mentioned previously, with the Mark Shuffle Road project, we're going to be including the Dublin Boulevard improvements, which is a PPRTA 3 A-list. They're both PPRTA 3 A-list projects as one of the construction phases. There is a map included in your packet to show this area, specifically around Dublin and the Peterson intersection. And this is for an early construction package for underground drainage materials and some work that we want to get done during this summer while school is out of session. You will see a larger construction package in the next couple months to finish the rest of Dublin Boulevard. This early package is for $642,333.72. The city's 4th and 5th contracts, there was some discussion on last month. We're bringing this back for the board's consideration. I'll just give you a little bit more detail on both and hit the specifics for both of these contracts, but there is a map included. This is adjacent to the Hobart Elementary School. There's also a plan sheet included in this area because my understanding is from the last meeting, and I also met with the board chair, Mr. Risley, shortly after the meeting, that it was unclear the extent of the improvements that are going to be needed beyond just improving the bridge. We did go through the engineer's estimate of probable construction cost, and we did go through an RFP process, and our cost for construction was within a few points of the engineer's effort on this. But you can see, and I know if you're not used to looking at plans, this may be difficult, but wanted at least demonstrated the shaded areas, which shows the extent of the work that's going to be done. So the bridge itself, along with the pilings that need to be done as it's shifted a little bit further to the north from the current bridge location is, along with ADA ramps both to the west and then to the east, along with some drive lane access and sidewalk improvements to make that whole area ADA compliant. Just to give you an example, and I believe I included this in the memo, the bridge itself with the pilings and everything, that portion is about $250,000. But when we go through and do this overall project, to be able to restore this bridge and to provide ADA compliance around the school, the construction amount would be $789,915.60. They're also that's contract 5. Contract 4 is for engineering services for some of the adjustments we needed to make for the plans, and also to provide engineering services during construction, and that's in the amount of $109,130. So, Mr. Chair, I'd like to just pause here to see, in particular, see if there's any additional questions or discussions on this particular one. I know you and I had a conversation about it, and if there's other things you would like me to add in the discussion.
Are there any questions for Gail on this? I'll just chime in that one of the points of maybe misunderstanding or confusion that I think a number of us had was, how can a simple, quote unquote, simple bridge replacement cost $700,000? And I think when she explained it to me, and this graphic hopefully starts to illustrate that, it's a lot more than just a bridge. There is a lot of work on both sides of the bridge, and then obviously some additional work on the channel itself. And so when I looked at this and when Gail explained it in more detail, for me, it satisfied my questions about the actual cost relative to the scope, and explained in more, I guess, detail what we're really proposing here. So I'm comfortable with it. I know I was one of the more vocal members that was uncomfortable with it a month ago, but I've been satisfied that this is a reasonable project. So, Corey?
But the engineering cost didn't change?
The engineering cost did not.
Okay, how come?
Gail, do you
Just
want to speak to that? Why the
Yeah.
engineering cost is what it is?
But the engineering cost is actually appropriate for what we've asked them to do for the adjustments and for engineering services during construction. So it is to, there was some additional ADA compliance design work that we asked them to do, along with the hydraulic analysis that need to be done. And then they do have services that will be provided to us as needed during construction.
And again, knowing that the scope is more than just the bridge, it's a lot of the flat work on both sides and the ADA ramps on both sides.
Okay.
It makes more sense to me now as to why that number is as high as it is.
Okay, thank you. Nothing further.
Any other comments, questions? Okay, Gail, I think we're good.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm going to move on to contract number 6. This is for the Peterson Space Force Space Northgate Access and Safety Improvements Project. This is where Platt Avenue has the ramps that come into Peterson Boulevard there at the north side of Peterson Space Force Space. This has been a regional priority for a few years, where we've had a couple different grants. The first grant was done with by PPRTA in coordination with the city, the county, and CDOT. The city was, once that first grant was awarded, the city was put in a position to take the lead role to lead this project. We were successful in going in and getting congressionally directed spending to continue the engineering, plus the city has invested money in doing the intersection improvements. And then finally, we got this third and the larger construction grant for the Defense Community Improvements Program to help us with construction. That's how the project is primarily funded, along with the city's intersection improvements project. You can see the map where this is located. So this has been in development for some time. I think one of the directors had some questions last month. There's been extensive study and planning that was done to make a selection for the best solution here. Plus, there's been public meetings and engagement throughout the design process. Now we were into construction, and we went through an RFP process and made a selection of Wildcat Construction. The total construction contract was $12,549,045. With the grant, there is a 70-30 split. So the PPRTA portion is $3,764,713.50. That comes from the city's intersection improvements program project in that area. If you're interested, there actually is going to be a public open house for this project on April 16th. I believe it's at 5:30. So if you're interested in details, plus you'll see new materials rolling out on the website in advance of construction on that here in the next few days. The city's 7th contract is not to be confused with Peterson Space Force Base. We're moving up to outside the north gate of the Air Force Academy and Northgate Boulevard. It's up where we're going to be doing safety improvement project from the roundabout to Struthers Road. If you've been in this area, it's been in a rough shape for some time as we've gone through some transition projects, our transition of property and ownership and annexation between the city and county. Along with the county, I know has a project on Struthers Road we've been doing a lot of coordination with, but this would be doing improvements in that area and moving the offset intersection or access point for the mining exchange up with Struthers. So Struthers and Northgate will become a 4-way intersection, with the southern leg serving as the new entrance to the mining museum. And then we'll be doing the rest of the roadway improvements tying in there and up with the Smith Creek Bridge in there with the Struthers Road. The city went through a RFP process for construction services. We had 4 respondents. We made a selection of Wildcat Construction. The total amount is for $2,153,904.50. Of that, the city has developer contributions for the last improvements in that area in the amount of $1,953,904.50. And then we are including $200,000 of PPRTA intersection improvement program monies for the signalization work that we're going to be doing there, the new access or the new intersection at Struthers Road. The city's 8th contract is to install multimodal traffic counting cameras. The city had installed a couple of these cameras as part of our SMART grant, or our initial work underneath our SMART grant, which is a federal discretionary grant. And we found that there's potentially some value in the data. And our first trials with these at the 2 locations, one in the city, one in the county, went well. So we are proposing to use our remaining SMART grant money along with some PPRTA funds to install these multimodal counting cameras at 4 more locations. The city went through an IFB process to determine the best price, and we did look at some other options, but we are sticking with the product installed by Vivacity Labs, which happens, and they were the lowest price. We went through the IFP process. So the total contract is $80,500. Again, $50,000 of that comes from that SMART grant, and $30,500 would come from the PPRTA Congestion Incident Management Program. City's 9th contract is for renewal of our annual license.
Gail, can we pause for just one quick minute? I think Councilmember Avila has a question.
Hi, Gail. Sorry that you're not feeling well. I could tell.
Yeah,
You're
thank
powering
you.
through it. Could you explain more about the multimodal, such as, what are we looking at? Scooters and bikes and walkability and
Yeah,
how
so sorry, I didn't mean to cut you out there. I apologize. Yeah, so what it's able to do is to take and identify, and Todd, you may even want to speak to this if you feel like I get this wrong, but it identifies the non-motorized users that are being counted in our vehicle counts or in addition to our vehicle counts. So we can have data on pedestrians and bicycles. So it is identifying those and giving us a count for those transportation users. And some of these key intersections have high mobility of either bikes, scooters, and pedestrians. So it's going to give us more data to maybe help make some additional safety decisions at those intersections. And then Todd, I see you're on. I don't know if you wanted to add more to that.
No, Gail, I think you answered it well. I think it also includes conflict analysis between vehicles and vulnerable users like pedestrians, bicyclists, scooters. It's intended to provide for a more comprehensive evaluation of just safety issues around some critical intersections in our downtown area, one being Colorado Boulevard and Nevada, and then a few around Palmer High School, particularly Weber and I think they're listed right there. So it should give us just a better understanding of safety issues around those intersections and how we might be able to address those in the future.
Does that answer your question?
It does. I just
Councilor?
wanted a little more elaboration, and I think that's a really good thing to do. So thanks, Gail.
Thank
And
you.
Todd.
Appreciate it. Thanks, Todd. Yeah. All right. The city's 9th contract is for our annual renewal of the Vision Zero Suite license. We use this software to help us do analysis on crashes to help us determine if there's patterns. And we use this to help us when we find problem areas to prioritize implementation of safety projects. Our annual renewal is $30,000, and that would be coming from the city's congestion and incident management traffic program. And the city's last contract is for a median maintenance project on Woodman Road at the Campus Drive intersection. There is a map included in your packet. This is we're going to use the city's on-call concrete contractors to make modifications to that median there so we can improve the ability of eastbound Woodman Road travelers to make left turns into I-25 and help reduce a conflict point in that area. We've used a task order and our task order pricing under our on-call contracts with Lucky Dog Contracting. And this task order would be in the amount of $265,802.50. So those are the city's 10 contracts. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to address them.
Any questions on those contracts? Okay. Seeing none, anything else, Gail, that you want to present or speak to?
Not on these contracts. I'll wait till
Okay.
the other agenda items. Thank you.
Thank you. That being said, I'll entertain a motion for approval on item 8A.
Yolanda, move to approve.
Is there a second?
I'll second John Graham.
A motion and a second. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Very good. That's approved.
Thank you.
8B. Yep. Thank you, Gail. 8B would be El Paso County.
Good afternoon, Josh Palmer, County Engineer. The county has 6 contracts to bring before you for approval today. The first is a contract amendment to AECOM South Academy Boulevard project. This is increasing the contract amount for $120,160, and this is to provide increased design support during construction. We're increasing their contract amount, but we're not increasing the overall budget for the project. And you'll see how we do that on the next item, which is requesting a decrease in the contract amount for SEMA construction in the same amount, $120,160. So in November of last year, the project received about $1.5 million in what was left over in federal money from the Charter Oak Ranch Road project. Not all of that money was needed for construction, so we reallocated $120,160 from the construction contract to increase the design contract for AECOM. So increase for AECOM and a decrease for SEMA, but no change to the overall budget for the project. The third contract we're requesting approval is a contract amendment to AECOM for the Deer Creek Base Camp Road Microscope Way improvements. This is to provide environmental support, right-of-way support, and then design support during construction. And that amount is $118,240. The fourth contract, again, also for Deer Creek Base Camp Road and Microscope Way project, is a new contract. in the amount of $79,525 to Western Land State Services. And this is for property acquisition services. The project requires some sort of acquisition of 12 different properties to complete this project. So the contract will support all the required property acquisition services for that. The fifth contract, also for property acquisition services, this is for Eastonville Road project to HDR in the amount of $249,803.80. This will provide support for the 36 properties that are required for us to acquire for phases 1 and 3, and you can see the delineation of the phases there on your map. We've already acquired all the necessary properties. No, sorry, we will be working on phase 2 properties with PPRTA 3. This will be for property acquisition for phases 1 and 3. And that amount is $249,803.80. The sixth contract we're requesting approval for is for Constitution Avenue and Peterson Road safety improvements to Alfred Benish and Company in the amount of $294,477. There's been some recent safety issues at this intersection. While there are no glaring obvious deficiencies in the configuration of the intersection, some of the recent trends point to some options for safety enhancements of the intersection. So this is a design contract to Alfred Benish to do a safety analysis and design for improvements at that intersection. And that's the end of the contracts that the county has. I'm willing to answer any questions that you may have.
Any questions for the county? Okay, seeing
Commissioner
none.
Williams, move approval.
Very good. Is there a second?
Yolanda second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Very good. 8C, City of Manitou Springs.
Hello, I'm Karen Rowe, ROWE, and I am the City of Manitou Springs representative, interim until they get their engineer on board for PPRTA funding. We do have Denise Howell remotely on hybrid available, and then I have Aaron Ringsred here, who is project manager for Hiawatha Mobility Hub area. So I have a summary sheet here of the different asks, and why it's a little complicated is for the Manitou Springs Transit Shuttle and Surface and Structure Parking, that's a PPRTA project, PPRTA 2 capital project. We have 4 invoices from Workshop 40. When I came on board in the beginning of March and then met with PPRTA, we realized that these invoices had been paid, but the contract hadn't been approved by PPRTA. So we went to the CAC a week ago. And what complicates things a little further, we went to the CAC to see if we can get this approved. However, the other thing that comes up with this particular project is it's mixed in. There's a community center, or what they call a dance hall, mixed into the site with the mobility hub area. So when we came to the CAC, they said the breakdown of what PPRTA would pay and what the city would pay was a little confusing. So we've tried to clarify that now, but they want us to come back to the CAC to revisit those amounts next month. So we are here today to ask for approval for the invoices for Workshop 40 in the amount of $4,500, and for Workshop 40, $400,000. One had the contract signed August 12th, one November 1st, and these are the scope of these particular scopes are very clearly in the realm of the mobility hub, and so there wasn't any confusion or controversy about that. The city is we're putting in extra measures to ensure that the PPRTA contract is approved in advance of any work being done. You'll see next month there'll be 2 coming to the board for one's for this project and one's for paving. However, I just wanted to make that clear. So that's our first request. As you'll see, I'll have 4 request sheets, 2 pages each. And then I have the location map. And then I have the narrative in there. So, but the ask is for numbers 3 and 4 of workshop 40 contracts. So with that, I'll pause and see if you have any questions for me or for Denise or for Aaron.
Any questions at this time?
Okay. And so the next request is for Lover's Lane. And again, this is done under PPRTA 3, the Manitou Street System Safety and Mobility Improvements. This is the capital program that they're asking for this funding. They made the PPRTA description flexible enough that the capital construction can include projects such as this. So Lover's Lane wall, they discovered it was failing, I think in late December. So they got Roxol on board to help with some initial temporary repair evaluations and then the long-term repair for the wall. So if you look at the exhibit after this picture of the failing wall, you'll see the red is the emergency repair, and then the yellow is the long-term repair. So the red there, though, they did discover, well, okay, Roxol has done their initial analysis, but we need to get someone on board to actually do the work. So that's where the second contract comes in. Thorcon Shot Creek is planning to do the work this month, and they have a contract for $350,000. Now, again, those contracts were not approved by PPRTA before the work started. So we're going to go back and make sure they have the PPRTA contract requirements and move forward with the work. But both of those contracts are within the PPRTA 3 capital improvement budget. The final wall repair is probably going to be designed this year, but implemented next year, and will include the capital funding for 2026 under the city of Manitou Springs. So with that, I'm going to pause and see if there's more questions.
Questions so far?
Okay. That's what I have this month. So next month, we will have some maintenance projects coming, more Hiawatha contract work, and we'll hopefully we'll get resolved with the CAC on what the portion of PPRTA funding will be for workshop 40, number 1 and 2. We'll be back for that.
Very good.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll entertain a motion unless there's some discussion. Go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm a little ahead of you. Just a motion to approve.
Very good. We have a motion to approve from Mayor Osborne. Is there a second? Second. And we have a second. Any discussion? All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, great. Thank you. Item 9, member government and other reports. A is the City of Colorado Springs Transit Services monthly update.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Chair, Vice Chair, members of the board. I am Lan Rao Transit Division Manager. In your packet today is our monthly ridership report under the first section. Then under the second section of transit highlights, we would like to inform the board that our spring service change public comment period had closed. And from the public comments, we saw very strong support for our proposed service change to add frequency on Route 4, traveling from downtown bus terminal to the Broadmoor Hotel through Cimarron and 8th Street. So very positive feedback there. We hosted a joint Love Your Bus Ride event with Colorado Department of Transportation bus stand service on February the 13th. We not only celebrated our riders during that event, we were able to collect some valuable input from our riders. We received 63 survey results. Those are by no means scientifically valid, but they did provide very important feedback to our service. most of the respondents responded that they basically use the systems throughout the day and for a variety of different trip purposes. On-time performance, fare cost, and frequency were amongst the biggest issues people brought up. And 76% of the respondents are satisfied or very satisfied with MMT service. And we were able to get a very small percentage, but 4% of the respondents did respond that they tried the transit for the first time during Free Fare last year. So we were able to get some information, not scientifically valid, but very important feedback for us. We also included a section of our service assessment from the spring service change that we made last year for your reference. But before we leave today, I want to express my appreciation to Council Member Yolanda Avila for her support of public transit. Thank you to your leadership and support. Transit has not only continued to serve thousands of residents, we have increased our service by 63% since 2016. Yolanda, you have been a true champion of transit in our city, both as a city council member and as a citizen and rider. You understand the importance of our services and have advocated for us on many occasions. As the transit representative on the PPACG board, you have been a dedicated leader and have consistently challenged us to improve. We listened to you and we did improve. We hope that as a writer, you will continue to reach out and share your thoughts on how we can continue to improve. Yolanda, from the bottom of my heart, thank you for your service to this city and to its people, and for the support of the transit service that so many of our residents rely on every single day. Thank you, Yolanda.
Thank you so much, Len. That means so much. May I have say a few words?
Of course.
So when I returned to Colorado Springs in 2011, buses only ran Monday through Friday from 7:30 to 5:30. And I just could not understand it. I was like, how am I going to get around? And I felt like a child that had a curfew. And people with disabilities, especially if you're blind, you really don't want to rely on your family and friends to get you here from one place to another. We want to be as independent as possible. And I feel like through our taxes that we pay, that we should have that option. And slowly, very slowly, but surely, we started to increase fixed routes and frequency. And Lan, I'm just going to say, when you came on, it changed quite a bit. You have vision and through the trajectory of where we're going, and you really did understand, you have understood, and your team, what it means to a really important part of the population. That you said this public transportation is so important. And we're no longer Andy of Mayberry. You know, we're a city of over 500,000 and a region of, almost 250,000. I mean, 750,000. So transit will always be extremely important. We have to figure out the funding to increase those fixed routes and frequency and walkability, first mile, last mile. But I've really appreciated working with transit from way before I was on council till now. And I will continue to be a voice for transit. But I hope here, as you all are here, that all of you will continue to understand and how important, critical to have public transit in our city and our region. So thank you so much, Lan. I just love you and your team. So we'll be in touch and we'll see you tomorrow night.
Thank you. Item 9B, City of Colorado Springs requested PPRTA to serve as the grant recipient for MMOF funding for the downtown shuttle.
Mr. Chair, Gail Sturdivant with City of Colorado Springs again. I would like to just do an introductory statement for both for 9B, C, and D for those 3 grants. These are a total potential of $14.4 million of state funding that would be coming to the city, but we are seeking PPRTA's assistance in all 3 of these cases to be able to serve as the recipient and have the monies flow through into our transit programs, really to help us with Tabor issues that we would face should the state dollars come to the city. Because if we were to receive $14.4 million directly from the state, we would have to make adjustments to the city's budget and basically take $14.4 million away from others within the city. So we're very thankful for this policy 31 process, and hopeful this will be acceptable to the board. So let me talk specifically about the first one. This is to support the downtown shuttle. The city went through a competitive MMOF, which is the state's Multimodal Transportation and Mitigation Options Fund grant program. And we received an award notice of $4,796,660. We're respectfully asking if the PPRTA board would serve as the recipient of that grant agreement on behalf of the city and Mountain Metro. And then the city would go through the IGA process with PPRTA as we have in the past on some other grants that the PPRTA has been a recipient on. These funds would flow through the PPRTA 3 Transit Services Enhancement Program. And then the city would, or the Mountain Metro would be providing the local match for this from the Transit Operating Fund. So we're respectfully asking for 2 things into this. One, to be a recipient for the MMOF funding on behalf of the city, and the second for so we could begin the IGA process between the city and PPRTA to execute this grant.
Okay, thank you. Yes.
Hey Gail, this is Mayor Dixon. Who's going to be acting as the administrators of the grant money?
Yeah, that's great.
Is that going to be?
Yeah, so the city has to take on all that responsibility underneath policy 31. Really, the PPRTA serves as the bank to be able to receive those funds and pass it through. But the city has to take on every single cost and activity and action associated with that. And we have successfully started executing 2 of these previously. And you've approved another one. And then these will be three new ones that we would be asking for.
That answer. Okay. Any other questions? Okay, I guess we'll approve these each individually. So on 9B, I would entertain a motion to approve.
Yolanda, move to approve.
Is there a second?
Second, John Graham.
Thank you. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. 9C.
Great, thank you. This is one the city did not actually have to do an application for. Underneath Senate Bill 17267, there was $8 million identified for Mountain Metro to receive to go towards a downtown transit center. Again, it is state funds, so we still have the same issue. So we're asking the PPRTA board to serve as our recipient, the grant recipient of this $8 million that will be coming to the city. And then for us to be able to initiate an IGA between PPRTA and the city to be able to do the execution of that grant work and provide the protection to PPRTA, similar to what we've done in the past. And these funds would flow through the PPRTA 3 Transit Stop and Station Improvements Program.
Any questions on this one? Gail, I do have just one question. In the backup information in the packet, under project cost, it lists a total project cost of 20 million, talks about the 8 million that you just spoke to, and then says partner funding of 12 million. Can you share a little bit about what that means?
Yeah, So, and even when this was first put together, the partner funding there was a public-private partnership that was being considered. That has since been dissolved. So we actually have our partner funding now would be coming from, we actually have access to other federal fundings, FTA funding, and then the city's parking enterprise would be a partner with this as well, because part of this transit center would have parking facilities associated with it. So that's really how we're anticipating our funding stack today. Actually, let me apologize. There's 4 pieces to the funding stack. You've got the state, the Senate Bill 267 money, the 8 million. We will have some PPRTA money, either capital, part PPRTA 3 capital or PPRTA operating for $1 or $2 million, depending on how that ends up stacking. And then we'll have FTA dollars and then money coming from the city's parking enterprise.
And is the total 20 million just the acquisition of the property, or is that for some construction as
Right
well?
now, it's really anticipated to be for the acquisition. And then we do have funding set aside in our funding stack to start the initiation project of some project development and look for additional project partners for construction.
Any other questions? Seeing no other questions, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
Mayor Dixon also move.
Is there a second?
Yolanda second.
Okay, thank you. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
All right. You ready for 90?
90.
Yeah, so this is for a new application the city is putting in. There is currently a call for projects, or one it's in a bit of a stall, but it's going to be moving forward for call for projects for again this MMOF funding. The city would like to put an application in to provide new on-demand transit service. This was a service that was identified in the long-range transit plan, something that could be augment Mountain Metro service. Right now, we're anticipating the future award to be up to $1,609,818, and it would go through the PPRTA 3 transit and service enhancement should we be successful. So what we're asking for the board's permission is to serve as the applicant on behalf of Mountain Metro for the grant, and if awarded, then we could start the initiation of the IGAs to be able to administer a grant award. So, and I'm happy to take questions on this as well.
Any questions for Gail on that one?
I say super duper and I move to approve.
Very good. We have a super duper motion. Is there a second?
I'll second John Graham.
Very good. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Great. Thank you for all your support on those contracts. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Gail. 9E, City of Colorado Springs monthly change order and property acquisition report for information.
Yes, Mr. Chair, both of those are presented in your packet and they're informational. I'm happy to take questions if you have any.
Both being, oh yeah, yep. Any questions on those items? Okay. 9F, Powers North reimbursement update.
Yes, the reimbursement statement is in your packet. This statement covers an additional $544,060 that and 59 cents. I'm sorry, 76 cents. All that is attributed to PPRTA underneath this statement. I did want to take this opportunity at the last meeting. It sounds like Councilor Helms, who I know had to leave, was asking for an update. And I do want to report that this project received substantial completion on March 25th. And the contractor is wrapping up some final punch list items now. So you'll see that project being complete. So I'm happy to take any questions on this informational item.
Any questions for Gail? Okay. Thanks, Gail. Moving on then to 10, administrative action. and reports. Legislative update from Dan.
Everybody, thank you. We have 29 days left in the legislative session. The House is currently working on the budget as we speak. Of course, you guys understand the budget process. They're stripping off everything the Senate did last week. Then it will go to the JBC. Everything will get stripped off, and then they'll start all over again in the JBC and have a balanced budget in about a week. From the RTA's perspective, we are tracking and working on a few things. We've been making sure that a written bill for the meetings was not given out. That has not materialized yet. We actively worked on Senate Bill 161 to make sure, and that was a bill where 90% of it was directed totally at the RTD. There was a reference to new RTAs communicating and working with RTDs in compliance with that bill. It does not affect any existing RTAs. I actually met with RTD and the bill sponsors today just to verify that again. Rick and Jennifer and I have talked about that, so that's been put to bed for us. Senate Bill 30, Jennifer and Rick got language to get us specifically excluded out of that, and we were specifically excluded out of that. And then one thing on Senate Bill or House Bill 1007, we were looking to get explicit language to be excluded out of the bill. However, working with Senator Winter, she said, you are out of the bill. The bill is gutted. It's a do-nothing bill. We're not putting any more amendments on it. There is some language I know that our attorney Jennifer is not 100% comfortable that we're totally out of the bill, but Senator Winter would not budge on we were out of the bill, and the bill does nothing, so we're not doing anything else. So we'll have to continue just to sort of watch that piece of legislation. To Senator Winter's credit, is the bill was severely gutted to do virtually nothing by the time it got over to the Senate. And currently, and it will be up in committee on Monday, the 14th. Jennifer and Rick had sent me, and we talked about looking at a bill, Senate Bill 272. The bill title, though, is very narrow, and it does allows for a sales tax exemption for subcontractors and contractors building housing for regional transportation authority employees and buildings. And I know that Jennifer, and I won't speak for her, she can go ahead and answer that, but that it was very narrow enough for us just to watch that. But I will be in, the title of the bill is extraordinarily narrow as well, which I'm hopeful for. But I will be in committee next Monday just to make sure no one tries to get anything else on that bill from a tax exempt, sales tax exempt situation. So that's sort of what we're at now, and we'll continue to do all this for the next 29 days.
Very good. Yes, Jennifer.
Yeah, I was just gonna briefly add in, I think 1007, the winter bill that was gutted, I think that passed yesterday. I think that's final. It is a do nothing bill. I do think we are captured and we have some obligation to coordinate with the local governments for emergency services, but I think it is a do nothing bill. So it is what it is. The other, which was Senate Bill 272. This is from the Roaring Fork RTA. Some of you will remember that they came to us, I think it was last year, the year before. This is sort of this year's special purpose bill. I know they've been bothering Andy for the PPRTA to support this bill. I would assume that the board, just like last year, I mean, this is really not something that benefits the PPRTA. It's also not likely to harm the PPRTA. So I think it's just have Dan monitor it, as he's already stated he will do.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions, comments? Okay, thank you, Dan.
You're welcome.
10B, the draft revision to board policy 31. Rick, are you up for that?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The board approved board policy 31 in May of 2022. This, as Gail covered, it was to allow member governments to have access to PPRTA to be the applicant and or recipient of state grant funds, because state grant funds are subject to at least the city of Colorado Springs and El Paso County's Tabor revenue cap. So if a member government can ask us to be their applicant and or recipient for state grants, then the member government doesn't have to take extraordinary circumstances by receiving the state grant. PPRTA staff in routine review noticed that there was not a specific board pre-approval before a member government made an application for state grants. So in your packet, that's the red ink section to add some wording to more specifically require member governments to the maximum extent possible to ask for PPRTA board approval before they apply for a state grant. So that's what's in section 1. But when we sent this to Gail Sturdivant at the city to review, she said, however, there are exceptions. And as she pointed out that at the time, there was going to be an exception on today's agenda. One of those exceptions is when in the red ink section of number 2 is a member government receives a state grant without having submitted an application, which is what was the case in 9C, where there's Senate Bill 267 funding, but the city and MMT didn't have to apply for it. So with these two, with strengthening section 1 to the maximum extent possible, apply in advance before it's submitting application. And then also adding the exceptions in section 2, PPRTA staff and Gail Sturdivant and Josh Palmer are comfortable with it. The CAC is comfortable with it. So all of us are requesting board approval for the revisions to board policy 31.
Thank you, Rick. Any questions on the revisions and why we're doing this? Seeing no questions, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
Mayor Osborne.
I'll give the motion to Mayor Osborne.
Okay, and I'll do the second.
Very good.
Commissioner Williams.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. 10C is the staff field report, which is in the packet. Rick, any
Just information item. Be glad to take any questions.
questions for Rick? Okay. Number 11, agenda topics for the next meeting. Anybody have any items that we want to add to the agenda for next month? Nope. Okay.
Nope.
12, PPRTA member announcements. Anybody have an announcement?
Mayor
What did-
Osborne.
Okay. Oh,
Go ahead. No, go ahead. Go ahead.
okay. Mayor Osborne, go for it.
The town of Rama has their new sewer lift station installed along with our 4 lagoons. And we're now waiting for power to be installed so we can get our new lagoons and sewer system up and running.
Congratulations. Good progress. Commissioner Applegate, did you have a comment?
Yeah, I had a question for just for whoever general knowledge, because I know it was a PPRTA project way back when, but just north of where like we had our county project we approved just now on Bradley, near Bradley there. When you go further, what is it, up Academy, as you get closer to what is it, Hancock Expressway up there. I know the contractor's done with that job, correct? Because I'm just trying to figure out like what their status is, because that road it's sunk now since then and it's getting rough. And so I don't know. I understand like they're probably not under any sort of like warranty or anything like that. If they packed up cones, they're probably done. But I'm just kind of inquiring about like where's city at with like maintenance on that. I'm just kind of wondering if there's still any like commitment to that.
I think that was the section of the city's Academy Boulevard North that we had to negotiate with contractor, terminate the contract and hire a new contractor.
Gotcha.
So in other words, it's still got to be done. Am I correct, Ryan?
Oh, is it? They're still working over? They're still working over there?
Yeah, we're working on resoliciting that work in the near future.
Oh, okay.
That whole segment is not complete.
Good. I was gonna say, because that left lane is just, it's like sunk since then. Like they've patched over it, but the patch job they did was so poor. I mean, it was somewhat smooth maybe 6 months ago, and now it's terrible. I mean, you're driving an angle. So thank you.
Do you have a timeline on when that work might be complete, or what's the game
Not
plan?
complete, but we're planning on starting it back up this summer. You'll be seeing a contract here in a few months.
Okay. Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Any other? Yes, sir.
Yes, if I may. So in Manitou Springs, we're currently developing another parking lot. We call this the Dillon parking lot. It's for a motel that the city purchased and leveled here. We hope to have kind of a rudimentary but satisfactory dirt lot ready by June the 1st. We'll have restrooms, which will be great, and a parking office. And that'll take some of the pressure off of our downtown parking, and particularly the Hiawatha Gardens lot, which that was a subject of action today. So when we go in and upgrade the Hiawatha lot, we'll be able to take some pressure off by using that Dillon lot. So there's a whole lot of moving pieces. It's a bit of a jigsaw puzzle. So I very much appreciate the board supporting, helping us get there. Hiawatha has been at least 7 years in the making. By this time next year, we hope to be getting close to sending out invitations for ribbon cutting. So thank you very much.
Excellent. Well, thanks for the update. Any other member announcements? Okay, well, seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Mayor Dixon also moved.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Commissioner Williams, I'll second.
All those in favor, aye.
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 And we are adjourned. Thank you all.
Thank you.